What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. I'm joined by T here to discuss all the latest. As you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about Dougie Freedman and his potential replacements, with reports coming out now with a few names mentioned, as well as going through the comment section and answering any questions that are there. As always, drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. It helps us out massively. So thank you to every single one of you that do that. And T, we're literally talking about it in like less than 2 weeks' time. Well, exactly in 2 weeks' time, we'll be in Southampton together. And
Yes,
in less than
sir.
2 weeks' time, it'll be your first trip
Yes,
to the UK. How are you
sir.
feeling, man? Are you getting excited?
Oh man, excited is not the word, man. Like it's almost disbelief. Like I can't believe that it's a real thing, man. Long time coming for sure, but super excited, man. Like,
We
uh,
went from the
like
GoFundMe's to the talks about when are you going to come,
exactly,
when are you going to come, to
bro,
now it actually happened.
exactly. And then it's funny just because everything came together so quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as the planning and stuff, it was boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? And it's like boom, oh, got the Brighton tickets. Boom, oh, we got Southampton together. We just got to find a place to stay. And it's like, oh, I had the points on my credit card, so I ain't got to pay for a flight. So it worked out, man.
Yeah, and in literally a week and a half time, we're going to find out if we're going to Wembley or not.
Man,
Crystal
man,
Palace.
man. How much
Some
how much sweeter would the trip be if we can pull off that win at Fulham right before?
It's gonna be massive, that game. And you know what? It's, of course it's massive, but it's gonna have a domino effect to the Southampton game, in my opinion.
Oh
If
yeah,
we manage
oh
to beat
yeah.
Fulham, the atmosphere at the Southampton game is gonna be amazing. Like, if we don't, I don't think it's gonna be bad, but
I
it's
still
just
be
too
laser
early.
focused just because we still have a shot in the league to do something. You know, if not,
Yeah,
we still can
but
place, but it won't be the same. It definitely won't be the same.
yeah, yeah, I don't
Definitely
think
won't
so
be the
either.
same
I don't think so either. So look, we've got a massive week coming up, and we've got a massive few months coming up.
for sure.
Of course, because of the usual transfer business that we'll be talking about. But more importantly now is that Dougie Freedman, now that he's gone, there were talks about it on the day. What's going to happen? Is it going to be Ian Moody who's going to step up to the role and take the role on a permanent role? No one really knew. But I don't know if you read about it. Before we get into the articles with some of the names being mentioned, I read a different
Mhm.
article from The Athletic. And it basically went into life after Dougie Freedman, like what are Palace expected to do. And interestingly, Moody's role in that article seems
Mhm.
like he can't replace Dougie Freedman in ways. Well, he can, but it seems like he's had a different role within the football club. His strengths are negotiating
Mhm.
um, deals rather than actually finding the talent. So for that reason, it doesn't surprise me that there's been names that's already been mentioned about potential Dougie Freedman replacement, because it seems like they got different skill sets. But um, yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know what to expect, team man. How do you feel about all this director of football business? Because it's gonna be hard for us to say, yeah, he's the man, he's not the man, because we don't know how good they are at their jobs unless we look at just
Mhm.
transfers. But it's gonna be hard.
It's going to be tough. It's going to have to be a extremely concerted effort. I think the funny thing is now we're in a situation where we're trying to scout out the guy who's going to scout out the guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like you're trying to scout the talent of the guys that are going to scout the talent. You know, so yeah, I think it's a very important choice that they have to make in who the successor is going to be for a multitude of reasons. Of course, being good at your job, one, is going to be, I think, penultimate. But of course, you want somebody that's going to, really believe in what we're already doing, believe in the type of system that we have in place as far as, you know, finding talent and bringing them in. You got to find someone that, will get along with your manager. Of course, you want to have somebody that will build a good relationship with Ali Glasner, because we've seen when that type of relationship has soured and Glasner has left because of it. So you want to definitely make sure you're going out and getting somebody that can have a good relationship with him. Um, and then of course, you want somebody that your fan base can definitely believe in too. Now, I know that may be a tertiary thing, but it does matter that your fan base cares about and believes about the people in the people who's going to be a part of the club. So, speaking about the piece about Ian Moody, one of the big things that people are talking about, and the reason why they don't want to see him assume the position is some of the rumors that have been centered around him in terms of racist rhetoric and things like that. So, we're a club that is very heavily influenced across many different countries, ethnic backgrounds, and religions. So you don't want that type of those type of people, I don't think, in your front office each and every day. So I think there's a lot that goes into it. So I think they need to make sure that they are taking their time, doing their due diligence, and making the right decision in the end.
Yeah, because it is an important role. We've seen it with Dougie, and he changed the approach kind of at the football club to have a more youth approach, and it has worked out. Like the likes of Eze, Elise, Gehi, all of these players coming to the football club, he has helped us. So we have to make sure we bring in someone who can continue that role, which is going to be a big task, because I feel like Dougie Freedman's done an excellent job whilst he was at Palace. But of course, even on Monday, I didn't feel like it was the end of the world, despite Dougie being so important, because the interesting thing is, because I didn't really factor into the other side of things, which from the Athletics report, it did come out that for Palace now, it's going to be interesting to see what approach we take, because do some of these people that Dougie brought into the football club and created the scouting department, do they leave? Do they
does one of them? I think I read an article about his assistant becoming, his successor. You know what I mean? Is that someone that we look, because he knows the system, he knows what we're looking to do, he knows how we go about doing things. So there's a lot of questions that are surrounding it. Do people go? Do people stay because of what he's already done and built? So it's a lot of questions around that.
From what I read, his assistant, the assistant sporting director, Ben Stevens, who was actually hired back at Palace in 2015, I believe, by Alan Pardew as the head of sport analysis, who went up the ranks and now is the assistant sporting director. There's no confirmation that he stays. He could follow Dougie. He could follow Dougie with the job as well. So it's like trying to figure out who is staying in-house, I think, at this point for Palace, and working your way around that, because even if you hire another director of football, they might have a different approach. They might not need some of these people. They might need more people. There might be a reshuffle there. So I don't think it's a simple fact of, let's just bring in someone. Oh, there's a director of football right there. Let's just bring him in and it's job solved. I think it depends on the person. It depends on what's happening at Crystal Palace. It depends on who stays, who goes, who coming in. So it is going to be a complicated matter potentially with ensuring that we get the best man possible. But there isn't any major rush as of like, this week, next week, we have to get someone in. I don't think that is the case right now, anyways. So
I wonder if this was something that they didn't plan to have come out, and something that they, have known about and, planned on addressing later on down the road. But
could be
the information got leaked, and now we are where we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think Dougie Freedman he decided on Sunday that he's leaving.
I don't think he would just up and leave. I think he's got more respect for the club, and especially with the history that he's had with us, whether it be good or bad in certain situations. I would hope that he would be more proactive with, letting us know about it, and then, allowing us to make the necessary moves before something gets out. But it could be possible that something got leaked and, we find ourselves where we are right now with it.
Yeah. And that's why there's a bit more concern from the fan base. Let's go into the actual report then. This is from Graham Bailey. He said that Lee Dykes, the technical director at Brentford, is an option to replace Dougie Freedman at Palace. Middlesbrough's Kieran Scott are also amongst those on their radar. I mean, anyone from Brentford, based on the hype that they get, it sounds exciting. We can look into some of the players that he signed. But the technical director of Brentford, as I said, it's going to be hard for you to know who he is exactly and give us in-depth detail. But from when I first saw it, I was thinking, all right, cool. What's his career path? When did he join Brentford? He hasn't joined Brentford that long ago. He's still like relatively new to the job. I believe that Lee Dykes, the technical director, he joined from Bury, which I believe was in 2019. And then from there,
so he's been a part of some really good moves for them then that have included guys like Brian Mbuemo, Ivan Toney,
David Raya,
David Raya. So even in that span of what 6 years, he's brought in some really, really good talent into that club, and we already know the respect that we have for not only Brentford's manager, but obviously the quality of players they have in their squad. So with Lee Dykes, I mean, I think the thing that you like about him, or even about the other gentleman, Kieran, is the fact that they're coming from places where the budget isn't crazy large. So they're going out and they're finding high quality talent at, I don't want to say discounted rates, but at really, really good rate, really good deals. So they have a sense of the way we've already been doing our business, and the way that our model works is kind of going to be similar to theirs. So
exactly, and they're not like massive spenders as well, Brentford. So in terms of that aspect and some of the talent that's been brought in, it seems like things have been working well there. But then again, with Brentford, how much does that fall down on the system that they have in place in the background with both Brentford and Brighton? They rely heavily on the data analytics and the algorithm that they have, which not many people know about. So that will be interesting. And then the Middlesbrough's Kieran Scott, I haven't heard much about him, to be fair.
I mean, before now, the name hasn't come up much because, I guess you don't hear too much about the directors of football and championship clubs too much in the news. But since this has come up with Dougie, I've read a couple of articles. Honestly, I've read more about Scott than I have about Lee Dykes, as far as just pure like articles and things. But it sounds like that Kieran Scott's been doing some really good things since he's been in Middlesbrough. And you look at some of the guys that they brought in recently, the young talent that they have, guys like Hackney. We talking about Ben Doak just this January. You know what I mean? So he seems like he's doing some pretty good work down there.
Yeah, even though I saw an article, it was basically saying how in January the whole club didn't do a good job and Kieran Scott was the focus. So I guess it depends on perception. But right now, I think Lee Dykes, his name holds in a higher regards due to him working at a Premier League club with a similar kind of budget to Crystal Palace. So it makes sense in that aspect. And then I think this is a very good point from Mitch, saying biggest issue right now isn't the target list for someone. It's actually getting those deals closed. In that regards, based on the article, it seems like Moody is the man for that. So I don't think Palace are really worried about that aspect of things because he's been working as a consultant. So I think he's already been involved doing those kinds of business for Palace. So if he has like higher responsibility and he's involved in the negotiations and contract side of things, which seems like his speciality, then I don't think that's the major concern. I think it's about finding the players, which I think Dougie's already done. Surely they will do the work whilst he was at the football club for the summer. So,
yeah, I'm sure I'm sure that there are multiple names of multiple players in multiple positions that everyone in that department knows and understands that we would like to bring in. It's not like Dougie kept it, tucked into himself until he was ready to go out and make the moves, because when we're out looking at players and probably scouting them and things, Dougie's not the only one that's out there doing it. So
yeah. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like button. I think we're nearly on 40 likes. So thanks to every single one of you that has already done that. Any ex-players with potential for the role? Hard to say. Literally, for me, anyways.
It takes a good amount of experience to do that role. I don't think you just step into that and just, hit the ground running with no experience. You know what I mean? But who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe there is an ex-player out there that's doing this type of work. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing. So I don't know if there's any names that we can give because I don't know about anybody that's doing it, but it's not to say they can't be a thing.
Yeah. Twisted saying, why would Brentford let him go? Talking about Lee Dykes. I think it's just a case of Palace trying to convince him that he can
It's
have
more of
high
it's a
potential to progress.
payout. That's probably a payout to them. Less
Yeah.
about if they're willing to let him go or not.
I think we could be getting a payout with a Saudi deal. Surely you would think so.
For
If you sign
sure.
any contract extension.
Yeah.
So I think we could get a payout in that regards as well. Yes, but who could sell the club to players like Dougie could? I think that's a problem that Palace are having right now. Not a problem, but Palace need to figure that out because Dougie was the one who would identify some of these players, of course, and try to convince him to come to Palace, which he was held in a high regard because of the move that we've made and some of the players that we brought in and the development as well. So now that that person is gone, we need to find that replacement, not the negotiations and contract signing. I don't think that's the concern right now based on the article. The concern right now is finding the person who can find the talents and convince them. That's the biggest aspect. And I think that is the reason why we're being linked with external names. And Ben Stevens, I think it's Ben Stevens, who's the assistant sporting director at Palace. He's still fairly young. He's been promoted since 2015, of course, when he came as head of sports analysis.
So that means he's been with us, what, 10 years?
Yeah. 10 years. So I don't know if he's ready to make the jump or if Palace are even concerned. Palace may be concerned that he could leave as well. That is a possibility, which I didn't factor into some of these other people within the club following Dougie. Maybe Dougie wants him to leave. He can create his whole group and everyone gets more money and more resources, maybe. So that could be a possibility. So I think Palace are trying to do a combination of both things. Make sure that house is secure. That's the most important thing, to know what you have there. And second of all, then look outside and think who needs to come in. So
man, look at this dude, man.
He's been reading books.
Wait a minute, look what Animal says. Look what Animal says. DOF doing OnlyFans.
Hey,
yo,
exactly, doing OnlyFans. Maybe.
Hilarious.
That's Luke's answer. Not on this channel, anyways. Luke can do it his own time.
Not here.
Yeah, exactly. Luke can set up his own OnlyFans, but yeah, look, there are courses you can go into if anyone wants to study a course and maybe go and message C Parish and say, look, I'm the next man for the job. Then I'm pretty sure
DOF from Burnley, maybe.
Who is the DOF at Burnley?
I don't know.
I know
I don't know who it is, but I feel like Burnley's brought in some pretty talented players. I mean, they were able to swing Marcus Edwards to the championship. That was a surprising one for me to see that.
Yeah. They did, and also Odegaard, who they brought in, and then they sold for profit.
They had Odegaard,
I
and
think that's the Premier League tax.
They got the other kid that's there. They got the other kid that's there. That's the winger, Koleosho, who's there. He's a pretty talented player too.
Yeah. So in terms of members at the football club, I'm just trying to look right now. They got like directors and stuff, commercial. They got a whole list of members, but I don't know who's the director of football at Burnley.
Chat, look it up, find it for us.
Exactly, yeah. Let us know. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I mean, there'll be a few names being mentioned. Director of football of Real Madrid or Barcelona, nothing.
I mean,
this guy got
with the Saudi money that we're going to get from Dougie. Maybe we can put a.
Who is? Let me ask you the question. Don't even search up. Who's the director of football at Real Madrid and Barcelona? Let me know. Let me know who do you want in.
Man, look.
Yeah. Parish says that he doesn't need Dougie
anymore. The director of football development at Burnley is Paul Jenkins. It says here.
Paul Jenkins. That sounds very familiar. Jenkins.
Director of football development. I wonder if that's related to the Academy.
That's the thing. There's certain clubs that operate differently. Like some of them might not have director of footballs. So it just depends. But I don't know if that's to do with academy though, because I'm looking right now. Because of course there could be academy. It says no, he's a new academy director. Well, he was in 2021 unless he got promoted. So for the Cat One Academy. So I'm not too sure. Jacko at Burnley, exactly. But Twister didn't answer. That's the funny thing. He wants him. Genuinely being director of football at Real Madrid must be so easy. You don't do any actual scouting. You must look up the best players in each league and buy them. They still do scoutings, of course. Hearing his commentator for YouTube games, let's not give Mark Bright any ideas. Is it a coincidence that this what was that?
And I said, "Oh Lord!" I said, "I'm thinking myself if Mark Bright got the job. I don't know."
Oh! I thought you said something else. Is it a coincidence that this coincides with contract talks with Glasner? Maybe he doesn't want director of football and wants full control. Nah, I don't think that's the case. He was happy with Dougie Freedman. I don't think Parish is going to get rid of Freedman, who I think he himself said is the number one most important signing he's made in a very long time. For Oliver Glasner, as much as Glasner is, I don't think there's any links between Glasner and Freedman. Even it makes Glasner's job a bit easier if he has someone who does.
You feel like Glasner did that job when he was in Austria.
What was that?
I feel like he did that. He was both a manager.
Yeah. Glasner has been a director of football before.
I think it was when he was at. It was either Last Linz.
Yeah, he was definitely a director of football. I saw that somewhere. He was. Rapid. Yeah, he was there. No. Yeah, 15, 16. He was director of football for 4. It says director of football and manager.
Yeah, I mean, smaller club, so he could probably do it for.
Yeah, I guess he had the responsibility of both. Before he moved to
Palace, he would need a lot of help.
Yeah, exactly. It's either Doug McLeaf or Paul Jenkins at Burnley. But this is a difficult thing. When it comes to director of football, it's not like managers where you know who the manager is and how he does, it's his style of play, etc. I feel like with the director of football business, it's more about like internal conversation within the industry to know how good they are, etc. Because it's hard for us to judge. Because even there, like two names are being mentioned. We don't know who the director of football at Burnley is, and other football clubs.
Because Doug Metcalf is the head of operations. He's the director of operations at the club.
Yeah.
So that sounds even higher.
Exactly. It's hard to say who does what and whether they would want to leave Burnley, and there's a lot of factors included in that. Mitch saying, I don't think we'll see the return to full control manager anyway. Yeah, I don't think so either. Gone are those days. Like, you don't really need a manager doing the signings as well. Listen to the most recent FYP. It seemed like Dougie leaving was known for a little while. Yeah. Look, we kind of, I think we all agree on this as well. We don't think he woke up on the Sunday, the day before, and said, I'm leaving, and he left. I'm pretty sure. I think
a Saudi deal like that is not just going to come out.
Yeah. And it might have been from last summer. He might have been in talks since last summer because he turned down Newcastle and United.
A lot of people feel like this could be connected to the Newcastle thing. I see so many people talking about the fact that with him taking that job, he'll be at Newcastle within 5 years. And which for me, it's like, that doesn't make sense. Only because if he wanted to go to Newcastle, he could have just went to Newcastle. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like he needed to angle to get to Newcastle when Newcastle outwardly wanted him to join. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense to me in that sense.
I guess only time will tell, but I don't know what's the thinking behind it. If we went Newcastle, then I guess we can say, yes, see it happen. But I just have a feeling that.
But why go to a second-tier Saudi Arabian club just to then pivot and go to Newcastle?
They're technically owned by PIF.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, which is the only reason why people are making that connection.
Yeah. I think so. I think so. Otherwise they weren't. But only time will tell, innit? We can only speculate. But I don't think he's going to Newcastle as of now. due to the fact that we kind of already said that if that was going to happen, that could have already happened. But the biggest thing about it is that I don't think Dougie Freedman news was a major shock to the club, like as of this week. But I think they just scrambled and they're panicking. So I think work has already been done. And also the reports were suggesting that Dougie Freedman, despite him leaving, he's going to kind of help out in the background up until like the summer.
Yeah, he's gonna be doing he's gonna be continuing on doing his job until a certain date, which in any professional world makes sense. You know, you have an end date that you're expected to carry on doing your job until, and he'll be paid by the club until then. That's just how it works.
Yeah. In terms of directors of football, it's just, it's going to be Dan Ashworth is there. But then again, by the way, so when people mentioned Dan Ashworth, he was actually linked to the Athletic article. But apparently the reason why Dan Ashworth doesn't make much sense for Palace is because, once again, see, I didn't know this, but his specialty is more about negotiating, sorting out deals rather than finding the talent. So, so for that reason, Palace already feel like they've got that man inside the club who has been working as a consultant. Maybe he gets a higher responsibility. Is Moody. So for Palace, it doesn't really make sense to have Dan Ashworth. That's what I'm saying. That's like some of these people that have been mentioned. We don't know their strengths and weaknesses, and I don't think anyone will know unless you're involved within that industry. It's just not like it's not like with managers, for example, where you know managers' style of play, you can just read about the whole background. But as we looked at Burnley may have a different operating system to what Palace do. So, you know, their director of football could have way different responsibilities to what Dougie Freedman done. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting in that regards. The way he gets the benefits of tax-free more than possible. This is the whole PIF global role based in KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Freedman really only rubber stamped the work that was done within the scouting network, but he done a very good job. Will he be taking his team with him? That's not confirmed yet. I think Palace will try their best to keep everyone there, and I don't think he'll take everyone with them. But some of these people, they may rethink. What do I want to do? Do I want to stay at Palace, or do I want to move on? That could be a possibility because they're not working with the main man. They're not working with the guy that they used to work. It might be different for them. So I guess only time will tell who will leave, who won't leave. But hopefully things are in place in the background, and we just need to sign one replacement rather than change the whole backroom stuff. Which I don't think Dougie Freedman is going to snake us like that and just ruin everything into mud and make sure everyone was left with him. So I think they must have had these conversations with staff, etc. So let's see what that happens. We need best in class at any cost, 100%, but we also need a bit of realism as well. You can't just we're not going to go get Real Madrid director of football, are we?
Right. The term at any cost is a little bit of a loaded term there, but I get what you mean. We need to make sure we get a very talented and viable replacement.
Yeah, I don't think Doug is going to be director of football though. He's taking a completely different role that covers a lot more areas for the overall game in Saudi. That makes so much sense because we know that he's going to Saudi. Like that's kind of clear now, but it's not as we know if it's clear that he's going to be director of football. So he might have a wider role, despite him.
He could be working on developing their academy system and their grassroots system, which he has some experience with doing. You know, who knows? You know, he could just be they might just be using him to try to level up the Saudi game. Who knows, man? Whatever. They're paying him a lot of money to do it.
Yeah. Simon said, my hope is we can promote it from within to retain the scouting department. I believe that chief scout is someone Dougie took with him to Bolton in the past. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Only time will tell. I think Ben Stevens is the one that Palace will be looking at to see if he takes the assistant sporting director with him. But for now, we don't know. And it will be hard to know as well. I don't think Palace will announce that the assistant sporting director has left the club. That's like, you won't really see announcements like that. But That's the thing. Only time will tell. Head of sport development or something. Yeah, potentially. I don't know exactly what it is, but this is all guesswork. And that's the problem with director of football. Ben Jacobs, I think, said it's like heading up not only football, other stuff too. And with World Cup coming, I think so as well. I think the World Cup plays a big factor, and he must be having other guarantees about more opportunities.
Man, they must have dropped off the bag, bro. Like,
yeah, of course, the money will be very good, but I think he's got other responsibilities and other
for sure, like
targets.
Some type of step up.
Yeah. So I think that's it makes sense for him to join a Division 2 club in Saudi. So I don't think he's going to leave to have the same role at Palace for a Division 2 club at Saudi, even if it's more money. More money, of course, can still excite you and do it, but I'm pretty sure because it's PIF owned as well. I'm pretty sure he's had other assurances regarding to the World Cup, and you never know, man. It could be exciting times. It could be exciting times for him in terms of what he's doing and the responsibilities that he could have at his new role. And Errol confirming that as well. But yeah, what was I going to say? I was going to mention the sporting director. Oh, the ones at Chelsea, for example, I think they've got two of them. But essentially, you might think, and I'm going back to Twister's point, right, about Real Madrid and Barcelona. I'm not saying this is the case for both of those clubs that you mentioned, but just because they're at a bigger club, it doesn't mean that they are the best sporting directors that you can have. You know, Chelsea's one. I think the people, I don't think they're happy. I don't think Chelsea fans are happy with some of the business that they've done and the approach that they're taking, and that goes to the ownership as well. So you might look at clubs like Middlesbrough and say, why do we need their sporting director? Or Brentford's like, well, it's about finding someone who fits into our club.
Yep, somebody who can work with small budgets, that knows how to find high quality talent for good prices and good deals. You know, if you just have somebody come in from a big club who's had a lot of amenities and resources, they may struggle to make the adjustment to our club just because of the fact that they're going to be asked to do things that they haven't had to do before.
Joe Fields, Chelsea director, he's a local from 14th. I went to school with him, but yeah, I think he's got a lot of people on his case as well. So yeah, and I think that's a very good point. It's like certain people, because of the environments that they've been in, they might not be used to coming to Palace and dealing with different resources.
Yeah, it's going to be more work for sure.
Exactly. So it's better to have someone who's done more with limited resources than someone who's done something with more resources, because with the limited one, at least you know that they've been able to work with restrictions, and that if they come to Palace, if they give them more opportunities, then that's good. At least they've managed to do it whilst they had nothing. Then someone who's given all the checkbook and is like, go sign that player, sign this player, whatever profile, like that is what makes it more complicated. But yeah, Ralph Rangnick is not going to be coming Crystal Palace. Exactly. It will never happen. Why would he come Crystal Palace? He's a manager right now as well. I think he's more in his management bag since the United job, so he won't be coming. Is there anyone else? So of course we mentioned the Lee Dykes, Kieran Scott. I'm just thinking, is there any other director of football? What club does good business? Brighton, forget about it. We can't include them. Brentford, we've been linked to the Brentford one and the Middlesbrough one. What other club? It's hard to say because I think Palace has been one of the best in the game under Dougie Freedman.
Maybe like a Leeds. I feel like Leeds has done some decent business at times. I mean, they have spent a lot of money too.
Yeah.
But
Bournemouth.
Oh my God, yes. Bournemouth.
But didn't their sporting director recently leave? He left to join another club. Was it Liverpool? When I said recently, last summer. I think that did happen. Yeah, he joined. I think he joined Liverpool. I think there was a move over in the summer. Richard Hughes. Yeah, Richard Hughes. So I think he's at Liverpool right now. But Bournemouth done good business, and I think they still are. So they've got a right system.
Norwich. That does a pretty good job of finding talent for not crazy amounts of money.
But in terms of in the Premier League,
I genuinely feel
like we're one of the best.
Yeah,
But we
I
wouldn't
would
want to
agree.
Dougie.
I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah. Fulham.
Um,
I feel
but
like
would
Fulham. They
but
spent money.
would they want to come to Palace too? I think that's a part of it too. Yeah,
I think you can
definitely
attract from
factors
Fulham
into it.
potentially, but I think Fulham's transfer strategy is different to what we're trying to do. They literally signed Joachim Andersen from us for £30 million. So yeah, I think it's hard to. Yeah, I don't think Fulham is really involved. I
I
think
don't
the
know.
only up
I
close
don't know
to
if
us.
Nottingham Forest's DOF will want to leave, but he's done a heck of a job. I mean, let's talk about the guys that they've brought in for little to nothing, and they made it work and where that team is now.
They had to kind of
Like,
break the rules though and get points deduction for that to happen.
but didn't hurt him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't mind like point deduction if that means I'm going to be like third or second in the Premier League, going to the top. But yeah, they've actually made some good business. They
I
made
mean,
good.
you think about what they did with Hudson Odoi. You think what they did with Elanga. You think what they did with Ola Aina. They've really picked up some really talented guys for not a lot of money at all.
Dougie would have got to know lots of other director of footballs over the years. I'm sure he's drawing up a short list of candidates. That could be a factor.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he's going to be
helping.
helping. He's probably going to be helping during this process because it's not like he's going to a competitor. You know.
Yeah. So it makes sense as well. Surely, with him being within that circle, he will know better than anyone else. Would you rather keep Dougie or have Gahey sign an extension? Dougie, 100%.
Well, since we're not keeping Dougie,
we're not. But like in that scenario, it makes sense to keep Dougie because
since one of them isn't happening and we know it, can we get the extension with Gahey?
Yeah, exactly. Now that it hasn't happened, anyways, can we not get the extension? Like it's already happened. It's already happened.
No more hypotheticals with that.
Yeah, exactly. Dougie, 100%. Just advertise down the job center. Just let everyone apply. Davidson, has he actually left the building yet?
No.
I think he must have. No.
Dougie?
Yeah.
I feel like Dougie's, like you said, he's probably gonna be working with him and doing his job through a certain point. I don't think he would have left yet, but maybe.
I think he's left the building, but I think he can help behind the scenes. Surely he's lit. You know, why would Palace put out an announcement if he's not leaving?
Yeah.
I think he's left the building, but I think in the background, I think he can still help out Palace. I don't think he has the same responsibilities now than he did, despite him helping out Palace. I feel like
so. There is an interim. So with that being said, there is an interim person that's then doing the job.
Well, yeah. Even if there was, they didn't mention it.
Yeah, they didn't.
The reports are just.
I mean, there's a considerable amount of information that we don't know.
Yeah, the reports were suggesting that Moody will have increased responsibilities and could be offered a permanent job in the future, but Palace haven't made a decision. It seems like people within the department are going to have their responsibilities increased, but in terms of outright person who's going to be taking a role, it's hard to say right now. It's going to be not Dougie Freedman, Steve Parish, and whoever he wants to work with. I mean, he's been working with Dougie Freedman, so I guess he will speak to him to see he's qualified and go from there. Martin's saying there's a lot of talent out there waiting to be discovered. It's more about clubs giving these players opportunities that are probably already at the club. Yeah, and we spoke about the academy yesterday, Patrick and T. So make sure to check that out after this if you haven't already done so. The under 18s, under 21s. There's a lot of talent coming through. And it is exciting to see what the future holds. Take him off the payroll and pay consultancy fees. I don't know if Palace are already doing that. I don't know the ins and outs with Palace's payroll stuff. Problem is, we all believed in Dougie signings. It's going to be tough to follow, hard to feel optimistic. How do you feel about it? Are you concerned now? For me, I'm waiting to see what happens and who we sign. But of course, there is a factor of unknown right now that without Dougie, can we attract the same players? Can we do better? Can we do worse? It's hard to say
because a lot of it is based on relationships, and a lot of what Dougie was able to accomplish was probably based on relationships he had with certain people in certain places. Let's not be foolish about that. But whoever comes in brings their own relationships also, and can, hopefully maintain and hopefully push forward the relationships that Dougie's created with us for them as well. So um, I guess it's also just a matter of the thing that you're confident in, the reason why you don't get worried or you don't get frazzled about it is that we have an understanding. We have a set way that we want to go about doing our business. We have a model that we want to operate according to. And honestly, I don't think that would change drastically with an eventual new DOF. I don't believe that. So I guess that's the thing that I can have confidence in, I'd say.
Yeah. Go for more comments. Maybe we can upgrade for an Austrian director of football.
Right, because at the same time, you know Glasgow knows guys.
Do you involve Glasgow in that process then to make him feel happy?
That's a good question, and that's a good question because here's the thing. I mean, naturally, the power that you would instill in a manager to help with that process is one thing, but at the same time, even in the event that Glasgow ends up leaving, if you have a guy in place as your DOF that has an unbelievable sense of talent, which if it is one of those Austrian guys from maybe one of those more big time powerhouse Austrian teams, those guys have an unbelievable eye for talent. And you want to talk about being able to work with a small budget, like who knows? Maybe them making a step up to us is like us getting somebody from a Chelsea or something like that. You know what I mean?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that they will get to do or have at their fingertips, along with the connections that we talked about too. So
that's the thing. There's endless possibilities for this approach.
Exactly. So that's also what makes it a process where you have a lot of, I don't want to use hope, but you're optimistic for
it. Yeah, I agree so as well. And excitement, maybe, depending on how you view it, because you don't really know who's going to come through. With managers, you can kind of tell, all right, this manager's linked, that manager's linked. Well, we know Ancelotti's not going to be coming to Palace, so you can cross them out. But with this, you just genuinely don't know. For example, Brentford's technical director, who we're linked with, he was at Bury before he came to Brentford.
So he was at a much smaller institution.
Yeah.
Made the jump up and has been doing tremendous work.
Exactly. You can't really write off people. And I guess whoever comes in, we just have to be patient and see what they do. Of course, I don't expect them to be perfect day one, but that's the thing. Like, you can have people who can jump from smaller clubs to bigger clubs, and that could be an approach that Palace take as well.
Because if you got people that hustle and that have a great eye for talent, I mean, those are two of the biggest things. I mean, if they come from a smaller club, they know the hustle, and then they probably have really good talent identification. So that's what happens. So be it.
Yeah. We all get scared at change because of the past, where it's clear the board had no idea. Yeah. I don't think the board had no idea in the past. What were you referring to? We can get into a bit more context in regards to that. I'm not really scared of change.
Who was the DOF before Dougie came? Can you tell me?
So it was Moody who resigned.
So Ian Moody was okay. So he was in the position directly before.
He was not there for long.
Dougie was.
Okay. He was not there for long. And then Dougie came back.
Gotcha.
But I think there must have been a gap. There must have been a gap between Moody and Dougie. There has to be. Because Moody, I think he stopped between 13-14 season. Dougie wasn't here that early. Dougie came around 2017. So it's a very good question. Sporting director. I don't know who
it wasn't Ian Moody. It says before Dougie Freedman became Crystal Palace's sporting director, Ian Moody held the role. serving as the club's sporting director between 2013 and 2014 before resigning over a texting scandal.
Okay.
That's what it says.
Yeah, but Moody was there. Then did Dougie come in straight away?
Yeah, it says Dougie then became the sporting director of Crystal Palace.
But Dougie was appointed in 2017-18.
Was he?
Yeah, Dougie didn't come to Palace that early. That's what I'm saying. There was a gap. There's a gap there. That's what I'm thinking about as well. It's weird because Dougie didn't come in that early. He didn't come 30.
Yeah, because it says he was done in 14. It says Moody was done in 14.
Yeah, so there is a gap. There's a few year gaps there. I don't know.
Do you think maybe we just didn't have one for that period of time?
Yeah, but then who was responsible for that? Maybe someone within the club was responsible for it. But yeah, there was a gap. I don't think we'll be doing the same thing now based on what Dougie's done. But yeah, it seemed like there was a gap. And this is the hard thing because sometimes Palace like to keep things so internal. Even contract extensions. Like we're talking sometimes about players getting extensions and then we find out, oh, well, potentially not getting an extension. Then we find out 2 months later on that they've already signed a deal and Palace just haven't announced it. Sometimes Palace just like to keep things on the low and makes it hard. But yeah, there is a gap. There is a gap between Dougie joining the club, which was in the summer of 2017, and Moody leaving the club, which was basically, like 3 years before Dougie. So there has been a gap there. But I'm trying to find it myself, but I can't. Does anyone in the chat know? The thing is, the thing is, someone in the chat would have said if we missed out something blatantly obvious of who was the director of football within that period of time when Moody left and Dougie wasn't here. But the fact that no one in the chat is saying it just shows that
it better not be.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say
it
right
may just
now.
It may just be a gap where nobody was in the role.
Yeah, but someone was doing the role.
Yeah,
but God knows
they might have had they might have had multiple people like kind of handling it all together, maybe.
Because when Dougie came in, our transfer strategy changed after that. Basically, we're focusing on more younger players.
It took a minute for it to get to where it is too. Like where we are now, it took a minute. Like I feel like we didn't really start doing the youth movement of recruitment until we had Vieira.
Yeah. Well, when did we sign
Ebbs was like technically, I think Ebbs was like technically the first.
Yeah.
That was under Hodgson.
Yeah, we tried it with Ebbs. We started with Ebbs.
Yeah, Ebbs was like the very first one.
And that was when?
We're in 2025 right now. Ebbs has been with us for 4 years. 2020, 2021. Yeah, because he's been with us for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So like a few years after he came, that's when we signed him, and that was the first of the signings. Yeah.
Yep.
Mukdal saying not sure clubs have always had director of football. It was always a manager chairman. Yeah, exactly.
And that could have been the model that we were going with when Moody left, possibly.
Yeah. Dougie from 2017, prior to Freedman, it was Ian Moody, and Ian Moody resigned in 13-14. So
from ChatGPT. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's not obvious. Daniel saying, I think we'll get the chat from Brentford. I think on paper it makes the most sense.
And he's probably the most. He's definitely the most qualified.
Yeah, and what he's done, he stepped up from Bury to Brentford. Some of the players that were signed under him for some of the price tags. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Of course, I don't know how easy it will be to go and grab him from Brentford. But I think logically speaking, the fact that he works at Premier League football club as well, with a club at limited resources, it just makes so much sense. And when I was looking through the business side of things about who's probably had better signings than us with value for money, there isn't that many clubs, but Brentford is like one of them that you can mention.
And that's one of the reasons why I think that we might have a chance of him making the move, because of the fact that even though, Brentford, as far as performance in the league is kind of like on par with us, I feel like we spent a little bit more money than they have over the years. So
We have more, yeah. We should.
But their DOF is good with me because he made that Michael Coyote deal, and I was so mad that we didn't make that one. Gosh, man.
And Embuemo for like £5 million. I think
Yep.
David Raya for £3 million.
You want to talk about some nice moves? I mean, this dude's got the track record.
David, Brentford's got some. They pulled some very good players. Why are we talking like Brentford haven't?
He got.
I think we're used to Brentford having the Premier League, but Brentford.
He got Ivan Toney from where? Peterborough? From Peterborough United?
Yeah. Brentford signing. We can go through Brentford signing since 2019.
Oh my days! Let's do it, please. Let's just.
Do it?
I want to do this.
Brentford have actually signed good players
because we've just named off some extremely quality players.
We'll start in 2020. Or should we start in 2019? It's up to you. I mean, I don't know how much involvement you have. But look, 2020, the first year. Let me share the screen. But Brentford have actually signed some good players. I don't know where this is coming from. Ivan Toney. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
So,
what year is this?
So you got Ivan Toney. This is 2020. 2020-21. So Ivan Toney, €5 million, so less than £5 million from Peterborough. Yanal, who's currently still there, 600k. They signed him from Bundesliga 2 club, who still plays for them. I don't know how much he's worth nowadays, but Yanal, who's
they got Johan Weiss. They had Johan Wissa for 10 million euros, who's still there and balling.
Like these are good business. Tony and Yanal for less than £10 million.
Franco Onyeka for 10 million euros. Christoph Ayer for 15 million euros.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin Schade. Kevin Schade was a baller move. They got him on loan first for £1 million, and then they signed him the next year for £25 million.
They've definitely done some very good business.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, not every player is a hit, but then if we look at Dougie's signings as well, we're going to see 1 or 2 players like Yak and
nobody is going to be a big hit every time. Michael Damsgaard,
Aaron Hickey,
Dean Lewis Potter, Aaron
Damsgaard,
Hickey.
exactly. Ben Mead managed to get him on the free. Still playing for them now. Yeah, they've and look at some of the signings and the price tag. It's like Palace. Like major big signings. I mean, Nathan Collins and Schade, they ended up
I think Thiago has been their club record signing, and that was Igor Thiago, which was just this past year, and he was 33 million euros. So what's that?
And he's injured.
Right at 30 million pounds? Yeah. But that was the same year they also sold Tony for 42 million euros and sold Raya for 32 million. So they splashed when they had the cash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think some of these signings, it makes sense when you relate them to Palace as well, with some of the budgets and players that they've signed. I think he's done a good job. I do think he's done a good job. There's definitely much worse out there in terms of players signing business. For example, do you not look at Manchester United? Don't look at Manchester United. There is a horror show.
Just throwing out money. I think
signings, David, haven't.
I mean, in a lot of ways, then you could almost work backwards, and look at who might be good candidates. It's like, okay, let's look what Burnley did, and you look at Burnley's list of transactions things. Like, man, these are some pretty good transactions. Who's their guy over there? Maybe we reach out to him. You know what I'm saying? You can almost work backwards with this because you can look at their body of work first before you even consider who the person is calling the shots.
Yeah. I wouldn't be against it anyways.
Not at all.
The fact they're doing it for Burnley. Not Burnley, Brentford. I don't know where Burnley came from. People mentioned Burnley earlier on. But yeah. Should we we'll go through the last few comments and then we're going to wrap up. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button, people. Tim saying many pieces in a jigsaw with signed players, e.g. JP could have easily been a fader at Palace. Exactly. Look at Sirloff. He got signed.
Yeah, if we
However, it didn't work out here,
JP could have easily been Sirloff if we had cut him loose as soon as we did Sirloff. So we didn't give Sirloff a lot of time before he got cut loose.
Yeah,
we definitely gave JP more time for sure.
Leverkusen, Atalanta, RB group. It won't be easy to get some of the tags from there over to Crystal Palace, especially Leverkusen. They're now competing in.
I feel like Atalanta might be your best bet out of those. If you go RB group, I'm trying to go all RB Salzburg.
But then
they do such a good job
to try to get someone out of their system. Wouldn't that be difficult?
I don't know. I mean, for the Premier League is a heck of a lure.
And also, they've got their own group. So how does that work? Is there like I think Jurgen Klopp is part of that group, but like
you're not as much taking him away from the team. You're taking him away from the entire entity of
exactly because I don't think maybe they have club specific ones, but I'm pretty sure like they've got like a wider range of scouting network as well for the RB group because they can technically move players on from certain clubs to higher levels because they've got different clubs all over the world. So yeah, I don't know how exactly the scouting network works. That's what I'm saying. It's not like black and white as every team works the same way. And we're talking about a whole group. So we don't know how a group works in comparison to a single club. Right. But yeah, there are some great clubs out there that Palace could target. And that's and that's the positive of it all, right? That it's endless. We don't know where it could end. And Tim Stuyden seemed like an okay pick, but obviously not familiar. Yeah, he was at West Ham. And I don't know how to feel about him because I don't know, like there was a few times where he got banned from the training ground from the managers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, and I'm not too sure. It's hard to say.
Sunderland is a good shout.
Yeah, they got Job as well, didn't they?
They've gotten Job. They've gotten didn't they just get they got Enzo Lafie?
Yeah.
Who else did they got pretty good
director.
They've done a good job. Yeah, they've done a good job finding talent. I might need another one.
Yeah. So if we're talking about all of this, I'm pretty sure Palace probably discussed that as well.
For sure. They probably have a board of potential people at this point. Some of these it's a network. They can just probably have those names on their desk in no time.
Some of these they may be good at the job, but they may not be having the same values as Palace as well. So you just have to go through the interview process, sit them down, and then go from there. But look, we're gonna wrap up. If you have enjoyed this, drop a like, subscribe. We'll be back most likely tomorrow if there's anything out there. But if you haven't already done so, check out yesterday's show with Patrick and T, looking at the academy. But that's it from us. And until next time, up to Palace.
Up to Palace.